Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello and welcome to Toon Jam. I am Matt.
And I'm J-Man.
And you have joined us for yet another fun-filled episode. Today we are talking about Catscratch. Do you remember Catscratch? Who knows?
We'll wait for a reply.
Yes. Join us next week when we discuss your replies. JKs. That means just kidding. Fun fact. Okay, so Catscratch is an American animated television series created by Doug TenNapel, better known perhaps for the Earthworm Jim series. It aired on Nickelodeon from July 9th, 2005 to February 10th, 2007. It was a loose adaptation of TenNapel's graphic novel Gear, which the series actually used the Cat's monster truck and gave it the same name. But a lot of it's very different. It's a very different premise. It's just got basically the characters are from that book. The series features music composed by longtime TenNapel collaborator Terry Scott Taylor too. It has something of a cartoon A-list cast, or at least a 90s cartoon A-list cast, shall we say. Rob Pawson, Kevin McDonald, Wayne Knight, Maurice LaMarche, Liliana Mummy and John DiMaggio all appear in the series. There's one season, 20 episodes, and it went into production in early 2005. Production continued on Catscratch until the final episode, Spindango Fundulation / Duck and Cover, aired on February 10th, 2007. After the initial run concluded, Nicktoons continued to show reruns of the series until 2009. It was briefly rerun again in 2015 as part of their Nicktoons Holla Days, like holla back yo days marathon. So pretty interesting stuff. From a critical point of view, we have one review from Sarah Wenk of Common Sense Media. She gave it 3 out of 5 stars, saying that Catscratch is a generic cartoon show that involves oddly drawn characters who don't really look like anything, very loud voices, very bright colours, and many instances of people and characters and things being bashed, broken and bonked. Not in the rude way, though. That should be clarified. That's my addition. The show is by the book programme, but that doesn't mean it's not sometimes funny or even touching. Many kids will get a kick out of it, although you may not be as tolerant. There's nothing terribly wrong with it, but nothing terribly right either. So that's her review. Interesting. It was, however, nominated for 1 Annie Award and 2 Golden Reel Awards. The Golden Reel Awards were both for Best Sound Editing in an Animated Series. And the Annie Award was for Outstanding Directing in an Animated Television Production. So that's pretty good. So there you go, Catscratch. That's your background info. Let's sort of talk about, did you ever watch it?
No, I don't think I did. I remember the look of the characters, but I don't think I ever sat down and watched it properly. I don't think. No,
I didn't ever see it, and I guess it's due to kind of when it came out. We've talked about it before. These are the dark years in which less cartoons were watched. You know, spending your teens trying to be cool and forgetting what's really fun in life, I guess. So yeah, I've never seen it. I recognized the visual, the cats, but not from anything. It was just like the weird, I've seen it before somewhere.
Yeah, like you've seen an advert for it or something.
Yeah. Which is strange, I suppose, with it being the Doug TenNapel. I would have thought I might have seen a bit more of it, but hey ho. So no real memories for any of us.
Nope.
A fresh one. So let's take to the Twitterverse. What are people saying on Twitter?
Yeah, it seems to be somewhat fondly remembered on Twitter. We've got Bryce Fawn says Catscratch is pretty underrated. Sad it only ran for one season. Sad face. So yeah, clearly a like there.
Yeah.
Grandad What the says poor Waffle. He doesn't even know what a mouse looks like. Which is in reference to the one of the episodes we watched.
Yeah, well, so this is one of the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Or first.
It seems that Waffle is quite a excuse me, quite a fan favourite. It seems a lot of people on Twitter remember him more than most of the other ones. Then we've got KK Smalls says, OMG, Catscratch. I have never seen anybody ever talk about this show, and it was one of my favourites. That grey one was so adorable. See, Waffle.
Yeah, Waffle again.
Loving Waffle.
So it sounds like it's sort of the 2 stupid dogs for the next. So like for this was our, like, we had 2 stupid dogs. The kids of the noughties had Catscratch.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And then we've got one final one from Renee CC Arezo, who throws in a curveball to this whole thing and just says, I've been binge watching Catscratch all morning, and I'm convinced this show was just a bad acid trip. So
that could be good or bad depending on your opinion.
Yeah, like some people want that out of a cartoon.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like, oh man, it wasn't hard enough. I understood too many things. Not to my taste.
Yeah.
So yeah, depends what you want out of your cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, reviews like that sometimes say more to a person than anything else could.
Yeah.
That ambiguity.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's somewhat fondly remembered, but only by a few people.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah,
it's another one of those. I think a lot of the stuff that probably that we watch seems to come up in those threads of people being like, "What's a cartoon that you remember and nobody else does?" And it's just the replies with all the shows that we're watching.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's great being one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, that's there's your foreground for Catscratch. We've had a middle of the road review, and then a few fond memories.
Yeah, a few fond
and
memories.
one very ambiguous one. So I say we're bordering on sort of the. It's almost just like it didn't quite reach cult classic.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Yeah. People enjoyed it, but it just never seemed to take off for whatever reason.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Let's dig in. Let's get into it. First thing I will say was the cast was like, you notice when you're watching it, you recognise all the voices.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty good cast.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, you've got to wonder if Wayne Knight is somewhat cursed in cartoons.
I know, I was thinking as soon as he came on, it's like, oh man, Wayne Knight, does he even like cartoons at this point?
He just keeps getting in. I mean, what was the last one we watched? Toon Sylvania.
Yeah.
And he was also in Buzz Lightyear at Star Command.
Yeah. Duckman. Was he in Duckman?
No, that was...
who am I thinking?
George from Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, just all the Seinfeld cast.
Yeah. But he's one I'm surprised we don't see more of in cartoons.
Yeah.
His voice is so perfect for it. But yeah, so that, I mean, immediately I was sort of thinking maybe he's a bit cursed. Maybe that's why these shows don't take.
Although he was in Space Jam, so that one clearly did well. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Was that was like a cameo, wasn't it?
He was in it a fair bit, wasn't he? He was like the guys. He was like Michael Jordan's mate that went golfing with him all the time and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. It's just kind of one of those things where you always think that it's. I remember watching that film so much as a kid, thinking I remember every moment, and you've just like opened up a window of it that
Yeah,
not seen in so like, oh my life, I need to get back on this.
yeah. It's like, like this part of your brain that hasn't been open for decades.
I
Oh, yeah.
mean, I don't know when it's going to come out, and just to sort of leave Catscratch for a moment, the next Space Jam film. Are you excited for that?
No,
No.
no, no, I'm not.
What?
What about you?
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like exciting to hear, but then I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I never needed any more than Space Jam. Like, Space Jam does it for me. Like, it's like, yeah, we had that. That was the whole experience. Like, and honestly,
You know what?
like,
I
since
kind
Michael
of wish they'd
Jordan,
done it with another sport.
yeah, that would have made sense because, like, which other basketball player do you know other than Michael Jordan?
I think it's who is it? Is it LeBron James?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I probably only know his name because he's in the next Space Jam.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's, I mean, when you think about it, Michael Jordan,
mm.
you probably only know him because of Space Jam.
Yeah, but also
then-
the shoes.
Yeah, but then were the shoes after?
The brand. I think the brand was like around at the time, but he was just like, I think he's like, he's like a multi-bajillionaire now or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But he is like he was a brand before, like, I think he was kind of a brand before Space Jam. So that's also why they got him on board for it. But
I want to see a Pro Stars film.
yeah, because that's it. I was just thinking, like, if they did a hockey one, it's like, unless it's Wayne Gretzky, I don't know anything else.
Oh, to be fair, Emilio Estevez.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, good point.
They're bringing that back. Right, so back to Catscratch. Yeah, so let's sort of so the voice acting was pretty, it's up there.
Yeah, you've got a solid cast, like all these people that are like pros at making the characters come to life.
Yeah, and
they're in the mix. Yeah,
there's no worry that it's going to be like, oh, this is just, you're reading that wrong or whatever. Which I mean, you rarely do, really, but every now and again there's a character that you just like, I can't bear to, sort of what am I thinking? Is it He-Man?
Yeah.
What was that little?
Oh man, yeah, this stupid little guy in the cloak thing.
Yeah.
His name is. I've purposely forgot his name so I don't have to. My brain doesn't have to register him.
That's like my go-to example of horrific, voice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, his character is like one annoying as well, so it just doesn't help. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, none of that. No worries there. Doug Ten-Naple.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we early on reviewed Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
Both big fans.
Yeah.
It was thumbs up. We rewatched it. We enjoyed it still. We wished that it would come back.
Yeah.
Does this live up to that sort of prestige? In a way that, do you think it matches? Do you think it's as good as Earthworm Jim?
I don't think so. I think it's a very different show because like Earthworm Jim seemed like it was like comedy was kind of the forefront of it, wasn't it? Whereas this isn't really like, I wouldn't say it's not really a comedy, is it? It's just kind of like it's pretty like standard.
Well, it's all a lot of the comedy's slapstick, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like Earthworm Jim was, they were doing all sorts of like different like comedic references to stuff, and it's kind of like a bit of a spin on the superhero thing, and you've got like weird characters that are just like they themselves were gags, whereas this is like it's just it's a day in the life of the cats. People on Twitter have said it's Nickelodeon's Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Yeah, I can see that in a way because it's three characters.
Yeah,
I think it's, three stupid characters. I suppose actually, yeah, you can see the likeness.
Yeah, and so it's very different. I think it's different to Earthworm Jim in that respect.
Well, I think when you think of Earthworm Jim,
Mm.
there's stuff that's similar at the time. You've got like I'm thinking mainly probably the Tick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Earthworm Jim has got its own. It's got its own feel to it. It still feels original. The characters are all. I mean, he's a worm in a spacesuit.
Yeah.
It's just not been done before.
You don't see that. You see three cats. That's fine. Like if you're walking down the street, you saw three cats, you'd be like, it's just another Tuesday. But you're walking down the street and you see an earthworm in a spacesuit. That is.
I mean, yeah.
You need to stop and assess what's going on in the world at that point.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a normal sized earthworm and he was just in a spacesuit, something still happened there.
The spacesuit alone is impressive, and then the fact that a worm can operate it.
Yeah, like how? I mean, he's only got he's end to end. He's just like a line of biomass. How does he's got all these extremities now that he needs to sit and sort and
all the sort of other characters in it. Like the crow, the evil cat.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the villain was an evil cat, just sort of playing on the idea that cats are evil so extremely, like he lived in hell and stuff.
Yeah, you've got fish bowls for heads and.
Yeah, it was just funny. Visually, it was funny and it had gags. Whereas this is more, it is just slapstick.
Yeah.
But with that sort of, I think the trouble is, it's almost trying to be somewhere between, Tom and Jerry and a 90s cartoon.
Yeah, I thought that because, I mean, in the second episode, the second part of the episode we watched, it's literally the plot is that they're trying to catch a mouse, Waffle's trying to catch a mouse. So they can go to be part of this mouse catchers thing or whatever. So it literally is like a Tom and Jerry episode. Which is, I mean, for a show that's about three cats, you'd think that at this point maybe, something a bit different. But it was just okay, so we're doing mice. Do you know what I mean? It's if the show was if it was Monkey Paw and they spent the whole episode trying to eat bananas, you'd be like, I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Many times.
I think. It's weird as well, to me, that Waffle is the favourite character.
Why is that?
Because he was not my favourite character.
Really? Who's your favourite?
My favourite was probably Gordon.
Yeah.
Is that because he's Scottish? Just hilarious. Some good Scottish bits. It's he tells a story about an old Scottish lord that barbecues ribs.
Yeah.
That bit was probably the best bit for me in the whole thing. But just hilarious. Waffle I did find annoying at times.
Yeah, same here, yeah.
But I guess I can see that, as well, it feels of the time. These characters at that time seem to be the, sort of in Invader Zim.
Yeah.
The robot.
Gur,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of the same wheelhouse kind of character as Waffle.
Yeah, just unintelligent but but lovable kind of.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are drawn to that type of character. I guess in the Ed and Eddie scenario, Ed is the one that a lot of people like just because he's kind of dumb, but he tries his best.
It's like Pinky in the Brain as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's always space for the dumb one. Everyone's like, they're trying.
And I guess you watch it when you're younger. It's the dumb ones are the funny ones.
Yeah.
But then you watch stuff when you're older. Then it's that's when you like the brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing. So.
And you realise that the Waffles of the gang are basically pretty much the cause of most of their problems.
Yeah.
And just like, why do you even hang around with him, man?
Yeah. You can't fathom it anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a kid, it's just like, that person's near me, so they're my friend.
Yeah, that's all you need. Just proximity is friendship.
It's like, yeah, they're in my class. They're in my class
Yeah.
at school, so we're best mates, actually.
That's it. And there's literally no way you can get away from them, so it's not even an option.
And then you sort of, as you get older, you're like, I don't know what to do, because I've known this person for so long and called them a friend, but actually, I hate them.
Yeah. We were born in the same hospital, so I'm obligated to be their friend for life. But they've literally been the problem every day of my life.
Yeah.
We've existed, and made my life worse as a result. But
so in many ways, it opens up that kind of question into yourself. And
see, this is where Catscratch gets deep. People think it's just a surface cartoon, but there's a lot of unanswered questions in there, like who is in your friendship group and why, and are there books out there from Scotland that tell you how to cut ribs?
Deep. Truly.
Definitely.
I mean, it did. Yeah, it did. It felt so super familiar. The layout.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I think the art style was original.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen it in Earthworm Jim, but it's not something you're like, oh, it's not used often, and it's his art style. You can really complain in that sense.
Yeah, it looks. It does look good. Like the characters are like recognizable, aren't they? Like, which is probably why we recognize them and haven't seen the show.
Yeah.
The trio, like, they look pretty unique, like, as cats. Some people obviously don't recognize them as cats, like that lady who reviewed it.
Yeah, but I think sometimes as well, like, that's what's good about a cartoon in a way, because when you look at sort of like Ren and Stimpy. For ages, I couldn't figure out what they were as a kid. And then they kind of explain it in the show, I guess. But, I mean, like, Ren's a chihuahua.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell that he's a dog, really.
Yeah.
And then Stimpy being a cat, it was just like...
Yeah, I'm sure I didn't know that until, like, we came to... like review it, and like we read like Ren a chihuahua and Simpson J cat. It was actually a cat.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, it's a dog and a cat. I never.
And you just don't care as a kid, do you? Really?
No, it doesn't matter, really, does it?
No.
Especially in Ren and Stimpy, it clearly doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the clue is in the name, I guess. The fact it's called Catscratch, so they're cats. No worries.
Yeah.
And the only one that I would say is really like questionable on his cat-like ways is what's his name?
Mr. Blick.
Waffle.
Oh, Waffle.
He just doesn't, because his ears are super long. He almost looks like a rabbit.
Yeah, he does look like a rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun fact about Mr. Blick: in the books, he was actually called Mr. Black.
Oh right, yeah.
But they changed it.
Yeah, I thought his name was Mr. Black, and it's just that was Gordon's accent.
Yeah, I thought that it was just a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
On Black, like somehow wrongly used.
And then they just was like, yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. I'm guessing, there's probably like the fear of saying the word black.
Yeah, true. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
It's my only it's my only guess on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was funny. Like, I laughed at it. I wasn't sitting there thinking like, say mold. Say no simple. There were a few bits. Like I say, the most notable was the Scottish story.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was bits that made me chuckle. I can't really remember the other bits, which I guess is the problem with the show. For many of the people that watched it. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's still a certain originality to it, even though it's like the art pulls it through slightly.
Yeah,
I think if it weren't for the art, like, it would be absolutely unremembered.
Yeah, yeah. Like, imagine if it had, some like really sketchy looking art, like those early MTV cartoons that we watched. Some
Yeah,
of those where it's like hard to look at in the first place.
yeah,
You just, I think, yeah, without the art, it would have been a different show.
yeah,
And yeah, like I say, that there's a lot of stuff that you kind of feel like like, because they've got a servant, haven't they? They've
yeah.
like Mr. Blix,
Like a
like they live in a
butler.
big fancy house or whatever, which seems weird, but and then they've got like a servant who's essentially just like an Alfred character or
Yeah,
whatever.
his name is Hovis.
Hovis, yeah.
Yeah,
Which I thought it was like 8 different names by the time it got to the end of the show.
I know. Yeah, I was
Jarvis?
like,
Is it Mavis? Is it?
uh,
So Hovis, yeah, who's just kind of like their servant, who's just kind of there in the background, really. Like he does stuff for them, but he's just seems pretty apathetic about serving them all the time.
yeah.
Which is, yeah. So that was like another thing that I was like, oh yeah, I guess they just have like a guy that looks like this.
Well, yeah, I think I'm just reading here. It says Hovis is Mrs. Cramdilly's butler who looks after the cats and collects her measly paychecks,
Right.
which Mr. Blick signs.
I see.
So I'm guessing that's we've not seen that episode.
Yeah, somewhere down the line. Yeah.
But it did feel like it's. I mean, we've seen this a couple of times.
Mm.
This is the first episode,
Yeah.
and it already felt like they were out of ideas and
Yeah.
to go to their bottom of the barrel weird ideas.
Mm.
So he enters a barbecue contest
Yeah.
and then goes to the moon to get moonstones to cook his ribs.
Mm.
It was just weird.
Yeah.
For a first episode, you're like, it just feels like I don't know what's going on in a way.
Yeah.
Like, whereas I know it was more cliche the second one with the mice.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's still the first episode, so
Yeah.
it's part 2 of, it's two micro episodes. But that one was a bit more like, felt like you could have that as your introductory episode.
Mm. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the first one, it's weird. Like they went all the way to the moon and came back, and like I still feel like not a lot happened in the same time.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't. Like it still wasn't memorable for some reason.
Yeah.
I can't
Like
quite put
they were trying to say, oh look, this show can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is the first episode. We were going to show you that it can do, but all it did was just use the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, like they went there and there wasn't for like 5 minutes, and you couldn't really remember what they did there or what was the point.
It was
'Cause I
pretty
think
the basketball slow motion.
Oh yeah, that was
To be
alright.
fair. Yeah, that was a laugh.
But I mean, like, what a weird gag to like write your way into. Just like, it'll be funny, like 0G basketball. Right, okay, so they've got to go to the moon. So
Yeah. The whole episode revolved around that one gag.
yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, I think that was the only time I laughed. So it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of like Two Stupid Dogs, where like the weirdness of it and the sort of speed and the places it goes, like it doesn't really help it out in that case.
Yeah.
Whereas Two Stupid Dogs, it's like it's full speed madness, and it's like, oh man, this was just what a wild ride, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah, and I think there's something about it that, like, in that it makes it, whereas in this it breaks it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So to speak. Like, it felt more like, as cliche as the second part was, like it should be more of that. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, weirdly.
But I mean, I guess that's the trouble when you make a show about cats.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
whereas
quite
when
a
it's
far
dogs,
cry. Pardon?
when it's dogs.
Yeah, that's it. Different story. We all know that. Quite a far cry from Earthworm Jim, really, when you think about it. Like Earthworm in a spacesuit to cats is really toned down. Like, do you think someone said to him, like, "Look, mate, I know you do like weird like invertebrates in fancy technology, but we like to keep things conventional around it. So,
Well,
like,
I'm looking at the book it's based on, Gear.
Mm.
So you can get this. It's distributed by Image Comics now, and it looks like the character is something of a robot.
Right.
And those are like, I think, minor characters or characters that appear in it in some way. So someone obviously read that and was like, you know what, we could do something with these guys.
Mm.
And then I guess the rest is history.
That's it.
But yeah, it would be interesting to read Gear, and apparently it's got Gear featured. It originally featured black and white artwork, mostly created with an ink and brush by Ten Naples. Many of its covers were photos of 3D sculptures, owing to Ten Naples' affinity for stop motion animation, as well known by fans of Armour Croc. The Image Comics collection presents the artwork in full colour. So if you get it, it'll be in colour as well. But yeah, that would be interesting to read, just to see.
Yeah, the comparison between.
Yeah, like how heavily they're featured, and I think it does change things. So, I mean, do you want me to go over the plot just quickly?
Yeah, see, well,
I've just seen it. So, Gear tells the story of a podunk town of. I don't know what a podunk town is.
No, I do.
Of squat hominid-like cats who are bordered on all sides by bigger and more warlike animals. Already, this sounds like completely different. The town's only protection comes from an aged guardian, a gigantic battle robot in disrepair. The town elder sends 4 brave cats out to capture an enemy guardian to further defend the town. The cats are named Waffle, Mr. Black, Simon and Gordon. They were named after Ten Naples' actual pet cats. After tragedy strikes the cats in a battle with the neighbouring dog faction's guardian, causing the death of Simon, Waffle begins blaming himself for the trouble and goes into the woods to end his own life. There he meets Cheek, an insect from another warring faction. The two befriend each other, little knowing of the role they both play in the oncoming battles. The name Gear comes from a mystic artifact existing in the land which promises to greatly increase a guardian's powers. Many parties search for the Gear, including a secret ninja-like Gear cult. The main plot revolves around the appearance of the Gear and subsequent mysteries it creates. Further themes in the story are the politics of the animal towns, the friendship of the 4 cats, the afterlife, and giant robot combat.
Oh.
So there you go. If you're interested in Gear, that sounds like a completely different kettle of fish.
It really does. Like, very, very different.
Yeah.
Could be worth investigating. Although, there's definitely some controversy surrounding Doug Ten Naples. I don't know if you know about it or not.
No.
I'm sure it's been over like the last few years, but there's been some more stuff recently, like mainly in like tweets and stuff, like some comments he's made to people. I think there was like a podcast where he was like, he kind of just like let loose, and then people are like, oh no.
Oh,
like, once he got chatting. Yeah, so like I think he's made some like pretty intense like just the things he said about like the LGBT community and like about like Black Lives Matter protesters and stuff. So like very much like it's like recent events and stuff. And like his spin on it isn't pretty much a terrible take. Everything he says, it's just like nope. He was also like a COVID denier in the early stages as well.
Oh jeez.
So yeah, not. It's so yeah. I mean, if you guys are into, if you can separate the art from the artist, then, and a lot of people can't, and fair enough to them. But yeah, worth having a look before you make a purchase on on any of Ten Naples stuff.
Oh,
take a peek into his history of comments and. slurs maybe is probably probably one that'll get an immediate reaction a bit more. Which is weird, yeah, because like obviously to us he's just like the Earthworm Jim guy.
Yeah. What happened? Just oh man, it's always horrible though, isn't it? When there's something like that. I imagine sort of Harry Potter fans at the moment.
Oh man, yeah.
A similar sort of crisis of conscience.
Yeah.
But it is that kind of thing where it's like, oh man, like I loved Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Like, you just kind of hope that someone else owns the rights.
Yeah, somebody else to do it.
It's like, let someone else make it, and then you'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, there you go.
Yeah. Keep eyes and ears peeled, folks.
Extreme, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's the same as anything. Always do your research.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what we in Toon Jam like to say.
Yeah, we always do our research.
Okay, well, on that bombshell, shall we head to our reviews?
Yes.
Okay, so I like what we're doing with this new Catscratch show, but I feel like we need a really good place to start, and I've got this hilarious gag.
Oh yeah, tell us about the gag.
Well, imagine, you know how when they show a replay for a slam dunk in basketball?
Oh yeah.
Well, imagine that it's the slow motion, but it's actually there's no gravity. That's why it's like that.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, so he's flying in he's in the air. He's a floaty.
It's kept me up all night with this. Oh, hilarious.
Man. That's good. That's good stuff, man. I like it. That sounds. Yeah, we can. I think we can make a full episode about that.
Yeah, how do we get it in there?
So where are they? So tell me again. Where are they?
Somewhere with no gravity.
Somewhere with no gravity. They're in space. They're in space.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
They're on the moon. They're on the moon.
Yeah.
Moon
yeah.
Cats.
Why not?
Moon Cats. That's the show. Moon Cats. They're on the show, and we do all the sports in slow motion. Slow motion sports every day. Is that a show? Is that the show?
No, I don't think so. I like them being on the moon, but not forever.
Okay. So they visit. They visit
the moon. They visit the moon.
Okay.
I don't know why they'd go.
They want to get something. They're picking up something. They want to get something back.
Yeah.
They've gone to reclaim. They've gone to the Apollo site. They're space enthusiasts, and they've gone to the first landing site. They want to see the footprint. They're the moon
I don't know.
Moon.
I think people associate that area with golf too much.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
I think we should just cut that out. We've got the moon. They need to go and fetch something from the moon.
Okay. So
just fetching something.
What's on the moon? We got dust. We got no gravity. We got
you can't fetch that. It's like a rock, a moon rock.
Rocks, yeah, they got the moon. Yeah, the rocks. There's the rocks on the moon. So they got they're geologists. They're geocats. Yeah, so they love the crystals and the rocks and the.
I don't know about that, but Geocats, back that name. That's a new cartoon.
Okay, yeah, no,
that's
yeah,
a new cartoon.
That's in the folder.
Geocats.
Okay, I'm writing that down right now. Geo. Okay, we got that. So they're going for the rocks. What do you do with rocks? What do you do with rocks?
You put them in your garden. You.
Yeah.
You
lawn cats.
With them.
Yep.
You can. What about you could heat them up in some way?
Yeah. Hot rocks. Hot cats. Hot rocks. They do the spa. They're doing a spa. The spa cats.
Like a sauna.
Yeah. The hot rock. I went for it once. The hot rock therapy, and they put all the hot rocks on your back. And
I don't think kids will associate with that. What about something a bit more like they're cooking with them?
Cooking. Yeah, always love cooking. Yeah, hot rod cats. Yeah. So the open flame, an open flame, or the
No,
barbecue.
that's too dangerous.
It's a barbecue.
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 Everybody's favorite family pastime cooking. Barbecue.
It's a barbecue. The barbecue cat.
They need new rocks for their barbecue.
Yeah.
And they need moon rocks because moon rocks are better.
Yeah. They got the minerals. They got the minerals in them, and the
Yeah.
You get the out of this world flavor. We gotta say that in the show. Out of this world flavor.
Yeah, that's really good. That's right. Write that down.
Okay, I'm writing that down next to Theo Cat.
Out of this world. I love that.
And so they want to go get the rocks. They're gonna go barbecue.
The barbecue is a competition. They gotta have the best barbecue, you know.
They gotta have the best barbecue, and the moon rocks taste the best. Yeah,
that taste delicious.
And just barbecue altogether. They just want to be the best barbecue in the world, or
kids love ribs.
Ribs, yeah.
Ribs. Kids love ribs.
Everyone loves ribs. The vegetarians love ribs.
Who doesn't love ribs? Do you love ribs?
I love ribs. Do you love ribs?
Not really, but yeah.
You love ribs.
I love ribs.
Everyone loves ribs.
Okay, so we got ourselves an episode. So here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system that goes as follows. Thumbs up, barbecue ribs.
Yeah.
Everyone loves them.
Everyone loves them.
Thumbs down, Doug Ten Naples opinions. And shaky middle, that cartoon that you remember, but no one else does. Did it exist? Okay, so Catscratch, your thoughts?
Yeah, Catscratch. It's such a weird one, really, because I do like the look of it, and it sounds good. The voices are good. The sound is exemplary. Sound editing, and it's like the pace is very, very decent. Like there's nothing that sort of like initially is like, oh, I really don't like this, but then I've come away from watching 20 minutes of it or whatever, like two little episodes, and I feel like I'm going to forget it all by the end of the day, and there's going to be nothing in my brain. And someone's going to ask me tomorrow, like, have you seen Catscratch? And I'll be like, no, I haven't. There's just I can't really put my finger on it, but it feels like it's missing something for me. It's like it's not the kind of like the humor's not on a level that you'd be like, oh yeah, this is really funny to recommend it to someone. The actual adventures of the characters in the show are pretty forgettable. There's not even like an ongoing feature that's like, oh, that's pretty weird, like that they keep doing that. It's just very, it feels very run of the mill, despite having all the good elements. Like there's just something missing, even though I can't quite tell you what that is, but it's not there, so how am I to know? So yeah, for me, it's weird. I think it's going to be a shaky middle. It's like it's not a show that I'm like, I hate this, but also there's literally nothing that I'm like, yeah, this is its top feature. Like, check this out. Like, go to Catscratch for this. Yeah. So shaky middle for me, I think.
Okay, it's shaky middle. Okay, well, it's difficult because now you've told me about Doug Ten Naples' views. I feel like automatically in my head it just went down.
Yeah, it's media thumbs down. Yeah,
so I'm not going to go with that because that's a jerk reaction, I would say. But then I think I suppose especially with stuff like this, you have to remember all the other people that worked on it.
Yeah.
And stuff, and as we've seen, it's not really much like his original concept anyway. But yeah, I agree with what you say. It just seems to be really forgettable. Like I didn't dislike it at all. And a few bits made me laugh.
Mm.
But it really did feel sort of very similar to Toon Sylvania.
Yeah.
But at least Toon Sylvania was sort of like it had a theme. Even if it didn't capitalize on it very well, it was there.
Yeah.
Whereas this didn't really capitalize on anything too much. And it had good bits, but I think its major problem was it was trying to be slapstick.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really its main sense of humor. So it just didn't hit any of the boxes it was trying to.
Yeah.
I think that's why it feels like it's got something missing. But yeah, I think it's like, you know, a perfect example of a shaky middle cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, not like you can't come out of it and say that was absolutely terrible, but neither can I say it was really good. It was just middle of the road.
Oh yeah.
And you can see why no one remembers it.
Yeah, it's so lukewarm. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised that's not the guy who made it. His name, like
Mr. Lukewarm.
Yeah, hi, I'm lukewarm, and I created Catscratch. You'd be like, oh yeah, this checks out.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. 2 middles.
2 middles.
I think that's a very fair assessment of Catscratch.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't agree with us. Maybe you absolutely love it, or maybe you absolutely detest it.
Yeah.
Well, if so, you can get in touch with us with the 3 10 Naples of the internet: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ToonJamPod. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and review us wherever you have listened to it. Wherever you have listened to it, it really helps us out, helps people find us as well, and keeps us chugging along. And if you'd like to help us chug along even further, you can go to our Patreon too, where there's many bonus episodes. We're just coming up to the end of our sports run, and we've got some new exciting runs in there. Or we like to do some themes on there.
Yeah.
So check them out. You've got all the previous ones too. So some interesting stuff. Otherwise, thank you for listening today, and until next time, as always, stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/toonjampod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out, so thank you. And stay jammy.